Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about 10 hidden gems from 10 popular fragrance brands. These are fragrances that in my opinion don't get enough of the spotlight, so I'm really excited to be showcasing them in today's top 10 list, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin this video and I tell you about these 10 hidden gems from 10 really popular fragrance brands and why I think they're hidden gems and why I think you should check them out, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. Make sure to enable all notifications by clicking on the bell and give this video a thumbs up if you take something of value from this video. I also want to mention that if you are interested in sampling any of these fragrances, you may do so at ScentSplit.com. This is not a sponsored post, but I'm going to leave all of the links down below. If my description of any of these fragrances tickles your fancy, if it sounds interesting to you, you can always get a 1 ml sample, 5 ml sample, what have you, just so you can check them out, try them for yourself, see if they work off of your skin. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and dive into the list. And the first fragrance that I want to talk about is by the popular brand Nishane Istanbul. Now, when you think of Nishane, you think of Hacivat, you think of Ani, you think of perhaps Vain and Naive, even though I find that one to be kind of under the radar as well. Well, the one that I think is a hidden gem in my opinion is called Shem. Now, Shem is a beautiful rose, leather, and resin kind of a fragrance. It's spicy at times, but it's really nice and smooth in its approach. The rose is very sensual and romantic. This is a very exotic, unique, and different smelling fragrance with also really, really good performance, longevity, projection, all that good stuff. Shem is an amazing fragrance. I know it has a bottle similar to one of their previous releases, Nefs or NEFS. This one, on the other hand, is quite different in terms of its compositional makeup. Amazing fragrance. This is called Shem. The next fragrance that I want to talk about is by the ever so popular brand of Gucci. And you know they have their kind of standard line, if you will, but then they also have their higher end fragrances, and this is from that collection, the Alchemist Garden. So some of the popular Gucci fragrances, of course, are like Gucci Guilty, Gucci Pour Homme 2, so on and so forth. The brand has a lot of really popular fragrances. Well, this one is The Last Day of Summer. This is a fragrance composed by master perfumer Alberto Morillas. This is mostly cypress and patchouli. It's dark, it's green, it's perfect for this time of the year. It's a little smoky and boozy at times as well. Definitely dark and mysterious. So if you like those types of fragrances, The Last Day of Summer is the type of fragrance for you. The next fragrance that I want to talk about is by the brand Xerjoff. Now, when it comes to Xerjoff fragrances, of course, we think of Xerjoff Neo, Kobe, Uden, Renaissance, Mephisto Gentiluomo. There's so many popular fragrances by the brand Xerjoff, even Erba Pura, which used to be a Sospiro fragrance, but the one I'm going to be talking about today is Alexandria 3. Now, there are a ton of Alexandria fragrances. You have 2, 3, Imperiale, Orientale. I'm actually going to be doing a comparison between Alexandria 2 and 3, letting you know what I think the significant differences are, but this is a really nice, slightly sweet, classy, slightly powdery lavender fragrance with some sweet touches in the base, also a touch of rose in here as well. I know Alexandria 2 has this nice crisp apple note. This one also has a bit of sweetness, but it's super professional, very dressed up, very formal. I personally love this one, especially in an office environment, in a business setting. This one always does very, very well. And the next brand that I want to talk about is called Olfactive Studios. Now, with this particular brand, you hear about fragrances like Still Life in Rio. There's another really popular one that has been talked about a lot in the community. It's called Chambre Noire. Well, this is kind of under the radar, if you will. I've done a review on it, so I'm going to leave a card to it up here when I reveal the fragrance. But the fragrance is called Panorama. Now, this fragrance is super unique and it's a hidden gem in the sense that it contains the note of wasabi. I've never seen or smelled that before in fragrances ever. So this is super unique for that situation. So it has green grass, it has wasabi, it has a lot of aromatic ingredients. In the beginning, it can kind of smell a little bit like pot, but if you give it a chance to settle down, it actually smells very professional. It has a bit of a casual vibe. You can wear this one formally too, but if you're a fan of green, herbal, aromatic types of fragrances, Panorama is awesome. Very serene as well. So very serene, very meditative. Can't really say that about any of the other fragrances, but this one does really well in that category. So the next brand is Tiziana Terenzi. When you think of Tiziana Terenzi, you might think of Orion, Kirke, Maremma, Laudano Nero, so on and so forth. Well, this one from the Sea Stars collection is called Cubia. Now this is a slightly fruity, I think there's blackcurrant and either peach or apricot in here and citrus in the opening. It's woodsy in the base, it's a little musky, it's fresh, but it's slightly fruity. It's incredibly versatile, but it's also incredibly long lasting. Perfectly unisex as well. Really unique fragrance, especially if you're, kind of in the market for something that doesn't smell like anything else. You want to explore something from these brands, but you don't want to get the fragrance from each one of these respective brands that everybody is talking about. Cubia is amazing. Of course, I also love Orza. I also love Atlantide or Atlantide. I've heard it pronounced a couple different ways, but Cubia is amazing. The next fragrance is another one by the brand Xerjoff. I already mentioned what the popular ones are, but this is kind of a under the radar fragrance. I think it deserves more attention. I've reviewed this one as well, and this one is called Apollonia. So this is a beautiful, starchy, white floral fragrance, one of the best iris fragrances on the market. I'm just gonna leave it at that. If you want more details or info, you can always check out my review. An amazing fragrance. Now, the next fragrance on this list, I think deserves a lot more attention than it's getting. It's from the brand Initio Parfum Privé. Whenever you think of Initio fragrances, you might think of Side Effect, which is my personal favorite. You might think of Rehab. You might think of Oud for Greatness, Oud for Happiness, even Blessed Baraka and some of the other under the radar ones. But this one really deserves a lot more attention. This one is called High Frequency. So this is an almond and jasmine fragrance. Imagine Pegasus by Parfum de Marly, which is like one of their best sellers, but with more jasmine or a more natural smelling jasmine. That's exactly what you get with this one. The fact that people haven't made that connection is like confounding. I think it's an amazing fragrance. Parfum de Marly's Pegasus with a more natural smelling jasmine note. Incredible. Also perfectly unisex. Speaking of Parfum de Marly, what are some of their more popular fragrances? Well, we have Carlisle, which is my favorite. We have Herod, Acaster. You might also be familiar with Galloway or Sedley. Well, the one in this video is actually Galloway. This one just doesn't get enough attention. This is a very abstract fragrance. I know people have compared it to Silver Mountain Water. I don't get that. I think a more apt comparison is Lalique White. I own Lalique White and they smell like 90% similar. But I also find that in the case of Galloway, this is an orange blossom based fragrance with citrus, but it dries down really, really musky. Super clean cut, very professional, incredibly versatile, compliment magnet. If you're looking for a fragrance where people around you are gonna be like, wow, you smell really good today, Galloway is the fragrance to do that. In terms of compliment magnets, the only other fragrance here that I think has the potential of being a compliment magnet is the Xerjoff, right? Alexandria 3. But this one surely is a compliment magnet, incredibly versatile, dumb reach, Swiss Army knife, great fragrance. The fragrance in the number 2 spot comes from the brand Creed. Everybody knows Creed. You think of Creed, you think of Aventus, Green Irish Tweed, Erolfa, Himalaya, Virgin Island Water, Royal Oud, Royal Mayfair. They have so many popular fragrances. Viking Cologne, Aventus Cologne. Well, this is none of those, right? This is a great cedar wood based fragrance with a bit of citrus in the opening. Very clean cut, very professional. Same thing that I said about Galloway also applies to this fragrance. This one is called Cidre Blanc, excuse me. And this is just an awesome, awesome fragrance by Creed. A little bit on the plain and simple side. So I don't think it's as innovative as some of the other Creed fragrances. I've reviewed this one as well. But if you're looking for something that really checks off all of those boxes, safe, versatile, appealing, clean cut, so on and so forth, I think you're gonna love Cidre Blanc. Definitely check it out. Sample it first if you have the opportunity. And the fragrance in the #1 spot is a fragrance that comes from a brand that I am in love with. I have about 20 of their fragrances or something like that. The brand is Rouge à Parfum. When you think of Rouge à Parfum, you might think of Elysium. You might think of Creation E, otherwise known as Enigma. And then they also have Sweetie Oud. They have a lot of really interesting fragrances. Recently, they released a fragrance called Manhattan for $1,000. I purchased that one too. But this fragrance is one that I don't think gets enough praise. And I think that the simple fact is not enough people have smelled this one, but it's deserving of all the praise in the world because it's absolutely amazing. And this one is called A Midsummer Dream. This is sensual, this is erotic, this is exotic, this is deep, it's warm, it's classy, it's sophisticated, it's refined, it's professional, it's mysterious, it's enigmatic. Like all of the most amazing adjectives that you can think to describe this one are in this bottle. So this is a fantastic fragrance for the fall and winter. You have elemi resin, you have a little bit of benzoin, you have this sparkling grapefruit in the opening. It's such a complex fragrance, but it's this warm yet clean resinous scent that you smell it and you're like, wow, what is that, right? It's so intoxicating and mesmerizing. And that's not something that can be said about most fragrances. A lot of them are kind of on the simple side, like the Creed, although this is a great versatile Swiss Army knife and super professional. But when you want to get heads to turn, when you want people to be like, wow, what in the world are you wearing today? That smells exquisite. This is super lavish, super opulent. A Midsummer Dream might be in my top 3 favorites, maybe even top 2 from Rouge à Parfum. Just an incredible fragrance. So there you have it, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for joining me today. These have been 10 hidden gems or 10 lesser known fragrances from 10 popular brands. If you own or have tried any of these fragrances, let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you have any favorites from any of these brands, let me know what it is. Leave a comment down below. Let's start a discussion. I always love chatting and interacting with you guys. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Be safe out there, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.